Going for a walk today. It's a perfect day. Breezy, cool, but sunny, but not hot at all. I've been debating after watching this guy's channel. There's got to be more by More. That's his name. Real nice guy. He lives in Guatemala. And in this town, Zela, which is very nice. Much bigger than Matagalpa. And Matagalpa, I'm finding it's a little too small for my taste. There's so many places to walk around in town. In many ways, I like Leon much better. It's bigger and it's more stuff. And one of the big attractions for me was the beach. But it was flipping hot. And I was like, well, you know, I don't know. I'm not sure that I want to be in that heat. And then it got really hot. But one of the things I realized, I mean, here the temperature is perfect. And if I had this temperature in Leon, I would love it. There's some guys taking dirt from the river bottom for construction. Hoisting it all the way up. Buenos dias. To build houses. In the United States, we rent a backhoe, of course. That's what I did. But here, you know, they get paid so little that when I rented a backhoe, it was like $300 for the day. Of course, I dug out a whole 25 by 15 pool in one day. But it would still be cheaper to hire this guy. But anyway, I will go on with my observations. In the group, in the expats of Nicaragua, you know, we've all been talking about different things. I started the one in Matagalpa for the area, and we got around to, and the reason that More left Matagalpa, even though he liked it, was because it was too hot. And I mean, not Leon. Leon was too hot. Nicaragua was too hot in general. Where Guatemala is pretty cool. And looking at the temperatures where he's at in Zela, the average temperature, and it's pretty much fluctuates by 2 or 3 degrees year round, just like here. The low is about 51 and the high is about 72. And in theory, that sounds good. Except where he's at is at 7,500 feet of altitude, so it's way up there. And really, when I looked at all his videos, I loved the people, the area, all of that, but they were all wearing long pants and 2 jackets. And I realized I really don't care nor want to be in cold weather. So I've been reformatting my idea about maybe going to Guatemala. I mean, it might be nice to go visit just to check it out. But the idea of living there in the cold doesn't appeal to me at all. I lived in Alaska. I worked in the Arctic Circle. I worked in Canada in the Rocky Mountains in the winter outside. I've had enough. I mean, you can do it, you can dress up, but still, it's not the same. So, going back to the expat group, in talking about it, you know, here a lot of people say, oh, this or that is very expensive. And of course, a lot of people that are saying that are Nicaraguans who are making 200 at the low end to 800 for a really well-paid person for the most part. I mean, there's people that make a lot more than that, but overall, I would say 80% of the people make in that group, and probably 200 to 500 would be 70% of the group. So I like to get some hard numbers. So I said, well, you know, everybody says expensive, but how much? Is there anybody here that runs an air conditioner in their home, and how much is it running? So then some people say, well, you know, I run one air conditioner and it's not very expensive. And finally somebody that I don't know if he owns or rents a house, but it's a 3-bedroom house. Sounds fairly decent. Newer construction in Leon. He said, I have 3 air conditioners. And I asked him, are they like 120 or 110 or 220? Because 220 are more efficient and so forth and so on. I said, well, you know, as it happens, the house I have, it has 220 plugs. So it's a fairly new house that was done with 220 plugs and 120 plugs. So he said, you know, I have 3 air conditioners, one in each bedroom, and we run them all night for the cool. And if we close up the whole house, we can keep the whole house cool. So obviously that's working pretty well. Now, if you wanted to just have 1 bedroom and a living room cool down, you could do that with 2 air conditioners. But he's got 3 for 3 bedrooms. I think he's got kids and wife and, you know, whatever. So I asked him, well, do you mind if I ask you how much do you pay a month? Because everybody says it's very expensive, but that could be $20 to $800. He says, well, we've never had a bill over $120 a month. And that was a paradigm shift for me. It was like, oh, okay. The other thing I looked at was that in Guatemala, and I'm jumping back and forth because they're all interrelated. An apartment like what I have, instead of $170 a month, would probably be like $350, $400. So we're talking more than double. And I don't know the prices. The food was a little bit more expensive, but not much. But everything else seemed to be about the same, if not more. I don't know about electricity and all that. Here in Nicaragua, the electricity prices seem to shift depending on whether they are the outskirts or specific neighborhoods or barrios. So it's hard to put an exact number on what it would be. You know, in Portland, for example, is Pacific Power and Light. They cover 3/4 of the city, and it's the same rate pretty much everywhere. Not exactly, but close enough. Here, that doesn't seem to be the case. But I thought, well, if I moved back to Leon, where it was hot, and get a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, and I was looking at them this morning, you can get them for $300 to $800 if you want one with an infinity pool and whatnot. But I think $350 to $500, it's probably a sweet spot where you get a really nice 3-bedroom, 2-bath, or 3-bath with a garage and a yard. And that's kind of what I was looking for. I said, okay, so if I rent one for $400 and then I spend $120 in electricity, I would have an oasis of nice, cooled, air-conditioned home in an area that I like a lot better. Not better, it's just bigger, so there's a lot more accessibility to things, and the beach close by. I go to the market, you know, where I was living before, and have really nice shark or fish or octopus or prawns fresh caught that morning any day of the week. So then it was like, okay, well, that sounds much more doable. It would still be about 2.5 hours from the airport if I need to, although I don't foresee myself coming back anytime soon. Although once I get my full Social Security instead of the survivor ones, I can see myself traveling, whether it's to Europe for 2 or 3 weeks, or to Mexico City, or wherever. It's a lot more possibilities once that happens. But it would still allow me to have the kind of house I want in an area that I love, with air conditioning that would make it much more comfortable. And realistically, I like walking, and I love this river here, right next to the road. And in Leon, I used to cross the river, but it was all wooded on both sides, and pretty much the road crossed diagonally to it. So you crossed it, for 50 feet, and then you went on up the city. Maybe there's trails that go along the river at some point, but I haven't seen them yet. But that's not going to be the deciding factor to move into a city or not. Leon has a lot more stuff going on. Bigger markets, certainly much bigger supplies of stuff that I like and want, including my wonderful elephant ears that I can't find here at all, even though I've probably gone to 100 bakeries. And these desserts, which are really good. But the only thing that kept me from staying in Leon before was, in fact, the heat. But I had two bedrooms, one bedroom and a 2-bedroom, and they were both nice apartments, but they both had bedrooms that were with a window to the living room rather than to the outside, and that makes a huge difference. I mean, I would wake up sweating with 2 fans on. If I bought an air conditioner, you know, even a 110, maybe instead of $120, it cost me $150 because it's not as efficient, but still, that would solve that problem. And then I would have a room or 2 where I could go and be totally cool, which is nice. So I'm thinking that's probably the way that I'm going to go. So now we're going to go in here and check out the air conditioners. Sorry for the loud music. Buenas. Ah, sí. ¿Tienen aire acondicionados?
Sí.
De esos, de mini split.
Tenemos de estos.
Ah. ¿Y cuántos están?
Este me le sale en 16.380.
¿Cuánto?
16.380.
Ok. ¿Y son 110 o 220?
Ese es 110.
Entonces, ¿se enchufa en la pared o hay que ponerlo con cable directamente?
Hay que hacerle una
Con la
conexión.
instalación.
Ok, pero 110, cosa de sacar el tapón y ponerle 2 cositos ahí. Ya está.
Sí.
Yo he puesto hasta de 220, pero ahí ya hay que hacer mucho más para llegar los cables hasta la caja real.
Igual tenemos en Telco, ¿verdad?
Sí, necesita 220.
No, estoy averiguando porque me pienso mudar y quiero ver qué precio me va a costar para poner 1 o 2 aires acondicionados. Entonces, por eso.
Bueno.
¿Lo puedo poner en el video para YouTube? ¿Sí? Digan hola. We're here looking at air conditioners. Tengo un canal de cosas para extranjeros, ¿no? Que quieren venir acá pero no saben nada y como no hablan el idioma se les hace mucho más difícil. Entonces trato de poner lo más información posible para que tengan una idea. Ok. Bueno, muchísimas gracias. Tengan un buen día. So this is the one thing air conditioning has to be wired. Este de acá abajo es de
Este es distinto.
¿ya? Es 220, ¿no? Sí. ¿Y cuántos K tienes? Sí, el de abajo.
¿En qué cuesta?
No que cuesta, sino cuánta cantidad de frío da. Yo sé que este debe ser 9.000 o 12.000.
Para 15 metros.
¿Ah?
15 metros me le cubre ese aire.
15 metros.
Me le cubre el aire.
No la cantidad de espacio que cubre, sino la cantidad de calor. Todos ponen 9.000 a BTU. 12.000, ¿el grandote o el chiquito?
Es el mismo.
Del 20. Está en la prueba.
Este de acá abajo no es lo mismo, ¿no? No.
No, es el mismo.
Este que dice G Plus sin verde.
Ah, ese ya va.
Sí, el de abajo. ¿Cuántos BTU tiene ese? Porque son 2 diferentes clases, me parece.
Este, dice usted.
El de abajo.
Este.
Sí.
Es que este es una sola unidad.
Ah, esta es la parte
Este
que
es el
va afuera.
por dentro y este es el que va
Ok.
por fuera.
Ok. Porque yo he visto algunos que son para adentro, que se enchufan directamente en la pared.
Es de ventana,
Ah, esa es ventana, ok. ¿Y esos cuántos BTU tienen?
Ese tiene igual 12.000 BTU.
¿Ah?
12.000 BTU. 12.000 BTU. Este es para ventana y aquel es el que arriba es el que va adentro y el de abajo es
Yo he tenido de ventanas también, pero lo máximo que encontré fueron 8,000
8.000.
BTU.
Este 12.000.
So that's a 12K BTU for $220. Let me see, a ver, déjame ver la parte de atrás, porque ahí siempre ven. Acá no dice nada. Bueno, ok. Ok, bueno, muchas gracias. Okay, so they got the 12,000 BTU 110 that has the outside unit as well. They have the window unit, which is a lot cheaper. You could buy 2 of those. Obviously, it's not going to be as efficient, although I doubt that what they said is right, that it's 12,000 BTU. But in Arizona, I don't know if you guys have seen my videos, I had an 18K mini split that I installed. And that worked fine, except for the transformer went belly up. So when that went belly up, I installed my old 8,000 BTU window unit, and I put that in my big rig that was 30 feet, 9-foot ceilings with 2 big slide outs. And that could keep the house cool, not the whole house, but the living room, dining room and kitchen area, nice, with 110, 115 degree weather outside. So here, I'm sure it would be no problem to run that in a bigger room, 15 by 20 and 15 by 15, and keep it cool. So conceivably one could do 2 of those, to do 2 or 3 rooms, or the main part of the house. But you would definitely want at least one of the bedrooms cooled for sleeping, because it gets freaking hot. But I digress, and I'm jumping all over the place. But the whole idea for me is that with that, I could live in Leon in a much nicer house, cheaper. And in Leon, there's a lot of houses. I mean, a lot of them. And I could get that for $350, $400. I remember seeing one in Sutiaba that was pretty big. Had a drive-up garage with a kitchen and living room that was all humongous and real tall. It was dark. It needed to be painted. But then it had 3 bedrooms, 3 baths. In the back, they were brand new. And also, it had a patio in the back. And it was real nice. And it was like $300. I think I wanted $300 for it. This was like 9 months ago. And that was 3 blocks from the Sutiaba market, 3 blocks from the fish market, because they're both kind of together. So that was a great deal. So if you put a couple of air conditioners in the bedrooms, you'd be all set. I had an outdoor patio that was covered, so that was pretty good. So I think I'm leaning more towards that than going to Guatemala, where it's freaking cold. Well, for me, I'm accustomed to 100, 110 degree weather. Going to 50 to 70, it would be too chilly for my taste on an ongoing basis. Whereas Leon, the weather is hot, but I was there for 3 months and it was fine. The bedroom situation was the biggest detriment. So now, with that done right, it would be a piece of cake. So that's my idea, which I want to explore and and kind of see where that goes. And that's pretty much it. I'm giving you a tour of downtown, well, from my house through the river downtown. Now I am going to try and see if I can find one of those money changer guys to change some dollars into Córdobas. Is the money? I guess it must be too early. They're not out and about. Usually there's like 4 or 5 guys out here. Oh, permiso. 2 or 3 guys looking to change money. But the bank's not open yet, so I think that's part of the problem. Alright. So I'm going to go to Claro to go ahead and change or get data for my phone. Ah, here's a guy with money. Buenas. So I'm changing money here. Found a guy, 36.5. He asked me if I wanted 1,000 bills or 500, and I said 500 because 1,000 is smaller, but it's a lot more work to change them. So, sí, el banco ahí en back me estaba dando.
El banco es más barato el cambio.
Sí, terrible. Digo, no, ahí también vale la pena hacerlo acá.
5.110.
Ok.
¿Lo viste usted?